A young boy living with his mean aunt and uncle finds out on his 11th birthday that he is a wizard, but not just any wizard, the most famous wizard in the world. Back in the year 2000, my college English professor tasked us with reading Harry Potter and then writing a report speculating what made it so popular. Now, at that time, I had never heard of Harry Potter and I had no interest in reading a children's book. And if I'm being completely honest, at that time, I had no interest in reading any book at all. But I did it because I wanted to pass the class and I ended up loving the book. Now, at that time, 4 of the 7 novels had already come out, and I ended up reading them all pretty quickly. Now, I heard in 2001 there would be a movie released, and while I wanted to see it, I just didn't see it possibly living up to the magical world that I'd created in my own imagination. But not only did the movie live up to my expectations, it actually surpassed them. The world Christopher Columbus and crew created perfectly matched the words that J.K. Rowling wrote. Each character was portrayed by the perfect actor or actress, many of them seasoned veterans who have stated that their role in Harry Potter is their favorite and most defining role of their entire career. Now, I find it impossible to pick a favorite character because each one lives so well in the role. Daniel Radcliffe is Harry Potter, and his innocent look of childlike wonder anytime he witnesses something magic always puts a smile on my face. Emma Watson is effortlessly confident as the bookworm Hermione Granger, and Rupert Grint portrays Ron, and he's got this all shucks face and classic preteen boy attitude that adds so much to the film. But it isn't just those 3 main characters. How can you not love Hagrid, the animal-loving, simple-minded giant, or Dumbledore, the calm and wise headmaster, or Professor McGonagall, the strict but fair teacher who can turn into a cat, or Severus Snape, the slimy, deep-voiced potions professor who seems to be taking out his personal issues on the children, or Draco Malfoy, the blonde bad boy who my daughter found to be the cutest in the movie. Or what about the Dursleys, Harry's hateful aunt, uncle, and spoiled brat cousin? Seriously, there are so many classic characters in this movie, and even though none of them have a full story arc, they are all set up to have satisfying arcs over the next several films. While it is commonplace today with the huge Marvel and DC universes, as well as the Lord of the Rings universe, and even to some extent the Fast and the Furious and Mission Impossible universes, back in 2001, creating a movie universe wasn't so common. Sure, we had Star Wars, but since that came out before I was born, I had never really been a part of something that had such a huge cultural impact from day one. This was the first time that I got to wait in anticipation for each new Harry Potter book and each new Harry Potter film. Now, in the summer of 2023, my wife and I decided to introduce our then 5-year-old daughter to the world of Harry Potter. Each night before bed, we would read a few pages, and although it took a couple of months, we finally did finish the book. She wasn't into it right from the start, but she eventually got really into it once the Sorting Hat put each child into their own house. Now, a sorting hat and a house at the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry is kind of like a school's fraternity or sorority. It's a group of people that wear similar colors who you would hang out with. Now, she liked that part because in her elementary school, they do a very similar thing, which of course was inspired by Harry Potter, which she didn't know at the time. And while we read Harry Potter each night, I was taken back to when I first read it and was once again blown away by how such a simple story that is accessible to nearly all reading levels was able to take over the world. The first book is good, but what it really does, it sets up the next 6 books with characters and stories that we grow to love and hate over the next decade. So as soon as we finished the book, we watched the first movie as a family. We all loved it, and watching it through my daughter's eyes really added an entirely new layer of appreciation for me. The troll fight in the bathroom and the showdown with He Who Shall Not Be Named were both scarier than they have ever been. Now, some of the special effects haven't aged that well. Since most of the movie relies on real sets and effects, those few scenes that have CGI in them just add to the charm of the story. Now, Harry Potter is more than a story about a wizard. It is a story about a boy who is thrust into an unknown world, where he is encouraged to be bold and brave and become more than he ever thought he could be. While Harry is definitely the main character, what makes the story so special is that around the characters is an entire world of magic and wonder. Each set piece, each subplot, and each daily activity that these wizards and witches are part of mirror what us muggles or non-magic people do, but in a more interesting and fantastic way. Banks are run by goblins, and you have to ride a roller coaster to access your money. The big sport is a mix of rugby and soccer, but played on broomsticks 50 feet in the air. Pictures and trading cards move and talk. And while most magic folks are good, there is one really bad one. One that is so bad that no one will even mention him by name. And Harry is tied directly to him. Now, while he didn't quite reach legendary status in this first film, by the end of the series, Lord Voldemort rivals the all-time classic movie villains. Seriously, if you've never given Harry Potter a chance, you need to watch at least this first film. The amazing visuals and characters brought to life by director Christopher Columbus are accented by John Williams' iconic score. When it was released over 20 years ago, it became an instant classic, and it hasn't aged a single day since 2001. I loved it before, but watching it through the eyes of my daughter makes me love it even more. being scared with your friends, finding the perfect wand, flying on broomsticks, getting a letter in the mail, hanging out with a giant, long white beards, playing a life-size game of chess.